Federal stimulus assistance is finally on the way.
We passed a $900 billion relief package.
We're live with team coverage breaking down what's in the bill, who's getting help, and if it does enough.
Yeah, I'll be glad, but they should have done this a lot sooner for a lot more.
And the pandemic is making it harder to get relief going on the state level. The delay just announced for Colorado lawmakers set to meet in days.
Plus, a new wave of vaccination gets underway, protecting the men and women who served our country. And more doses are set to arrive in Colorado today. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us on Denver7 News. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Molly Hendrickson. Another warm day ahead of us, but get ready for a big drop in temperatures. Katie LaSalle is standing by with a check of our Denver7 forecast.
Hey, you guys. Yep, you called it. It's going to be one more warm day before the storm that moves in later on this afternoon and evening for much of Colorado. Into the mountains, we're expecting some snow, colder and windy for Wednesday. But right now, it's already 40 degrees out at DIA. Winds sustained from the southwest at 14 miles per hour. They'll really kick up later on this afternoon. But in the meantime, temperatures in the high 50s will remain through 4 o'clock. Tonight by 6 will drop down to 50 with lows colder in the upper teens to low 20s. Here's our statewide futurecast. You can see we'll stay dry for the first half of this Tuesday. Clouds increase, snow will intensify into the mountains through the afternoon and evening. Not a huge system for our high country, 3 to 6 inches at highest elevations. Up and down the I-25 corridor and northeastern plains, winds will be howling through early tomorrow morning. So definitely be careful out there if you have anything on the porch outside that you don't want to get blown away for tomorrow. It is going to be colder, 32 degrees on Wednesday, then back to sunshine, 40s and 50s for Christmas Day.
And right now, a pretty decent looking ride around most of Metro Denver. The latest problem just coming in right here at 285 and C470. They're calling it out northbound. Well, technically, because 285 is it's an odd number highway, so it runs technically north-south, even though we like to say it's east-west. It's going to be right out there on the northbound side. Take a look right from the camera, and they're looking for it right now. You can see some of the flashing lights out there as the CEDA folks at the Operations Center and CDOT are looking for it as well. So I can't quite see the crash. I'll let you know exactly what lanes are blocked when we get a better look at it on the cameras. Take a look at the map where we have still some restrictions down on I-25 down in the Greenland Road area. They have southbound restricted where you're using the off and then on ramps to get around that road work until 8 o'clock this morning. But otherwise, a great looking drive to the Denver Tech Center, the north side. And we'll talk about this work that's going on in Idaho Springs coming up in just a few minutes.
Overnight, the House and Senate finally agreed on a federal stimulus bill to send help to struggling Americans and businesses.
And right now, as the sun is rising over our nation's capital, we are live with team coverage breaking down what the stimulus bill means for you and your family. Our national correspondent, Joe St. George, joins us from Washington, D.C.
But we want to start with MICAH Smith live in Denver. And MICAH, walk us through how this bill aims to help.
Molly and Brian, this is one of the largest economic stimulus packages in our country's history. And this morning, we're breaking down what the more than 5,000-page bill means for you and your family. Let's start with those direct payments. That's been a hot topic over the past couple of weeks. The COVID-19 relief package includes payments of up to $600 for eligible adults. $300 per week in enhanced unemployment benefits, $284 billion in Paycheck Protection Program loans, $25 billion in rental assistance, an extension of the eviction moratorium, and $48 billion for COVID-19 vaccines and testing. Now, in order for both sides to finally agree on this package, they had to compromise. Republicans gave up on lawsuit protections for businesses, and Democrats stopped pushing for the $160 billion in funding for local and state governments that are having major financial difficulties due to COVID-19.
It doesn't go all the way, but it takes us down the path, a first step.
None of us think any of this legislation is perfect, but a big bipartisan majority of us recognize the incredible amount of good it will do when we send it to the president's desk.
The passage of this stimulus package means Colorado Governor Jared Polis will have to make a major policy decision next month regarding evictions. If you're someone who's struggling to pay rent, stick with us. Coming up at 6:30, we'll talk about what could happen after the federal moratorium on evictions ends. Reporting live, MICAH Smith, Denver7.
All right, thank you, Micah. This morning, the majority of Colorado members of Congress are sounding off, calling the passage a success. Congressman Jason Crow said in a statement, Coloradans need help, and this bill should have been passed months ago. Congressman Ed Perlmutter echoed him, but touted the assistance coming to state healthcare systems, vaccine distribution plans, funding for testing, and the effort to get kids back into the classroom. Congressman Ken Buck voted against it, saying it was too broad a bill and should have targeted relief for small businesses and individuals.
A $900 billion bill came out of a major bipartisan effort that took months to push through, and it's smaller than many Americans may have expected. Joe St. George is standing by in our nation's capital this morning. And Joe, a big celebration from many members of Congress this morning, but a $600 check is just a drop in the bucket for a lot of Americans who are really struggling right now.
Hey, good morning to you. Boy, you hit the nail on the head with that analysis. I mean, if you're out of work, if your business on off-Broadway in Denver is struggling, if you're struggling because you've been furloughed, or you're still recovering from having to put weeks of debt on your credit card, and that interest rate is beginning to accumulate. You're right, $600 isn't going to solve anything. If you're still unemployed, unemployment benefits, that might help you. There's 300 weeks of bonus unemployment relief in this bipartisan piece of economic legislation. But there is still a lot of people out there, no doubt business owners, saying this is maybe too little too late, and they want more, which is the logical question. Can Congress actually do more when President-elect Joe Biden takes office? It'll all come down to who controls the United States Senate. We've been saying it for weeks. We still don't know yet. We'll find out after the Georgia runoffs on January 5th.
And speaking of, the Democrats hope they have a better chance of sending more assistance to Americans once President-elect Biden is in office. So what are the odds of that?
Well, look, I mean, we'll find out with the Senate. I think it's tough to say. If it's Republicans who control the United States Senate, it's going to be a very difficult negotiation between President Biden and Mitch McConnell, who would lead the Republicans in the Senate. If Democrats are controlling it, it will obviously be much easier. I'll tell you two individuals who desperately want Democrats to win the control of the U.S. Senate. It's Mayor Michael Hancock in Denver and Governor Jared Polis in Colorado, and that's because this stimulus bill provided absolutely nothing for cities and states struggling with their revenues and their budget. Think of all of the taxes that aren't being collected in Denver because of people not going to restaurants and because of concerts being canceled. So there are a lot of people in Colorado this morning, government leaders in Colorado this morning, waking up hoping that Congress can come back in the new year and pass some relief for them. This bill did nothing to provide help to city councils who have some very difficult decisions to make with city budgets in the coming months.
Thank you so much, live from Washington for us this morning. Colorado lawmakers will delay their return to the state capitol for the 2021 legislative session. They're delaying it about a month because of coronavirus concerns. Lawmakers will briefly meet the second week of January to swear in new members, but then they'll adjourn until February 16th. The governor's state of the state will also be postponed until February once the session resumes.
Colorado's vaccination push is picking up steam. Since the first doses arrived last Monday, nearly 34,000 Colorado healthcare workers have received their first shots. More than 3,000 people were vaccinated yesterday alone. And with the arrival of Moderna's vaccines at rural hospitals and long-term care facilities, the process will only be moving faster from here. By tomorrow, Colorado expects to have more than 95,000 Moderna doses on site. More than 12,000 were shipped out to facilities across the state yesterday, and more arrived today. Also today, some of those vaccines will help protect people who served our country. Vaccinations start in about 2 hours at the Evans Army Community Hospital in Fort Carson. And later this afternoon, Governor Polis will be on hand for the first vaccinations to begin at the VA hospital in Aurora.
The city of Aurora is breaking new ground in the cannabis industry. It's the first city in the state to approve delivery for recreational marijuana. Before now, some communities offer delivery, but only for medical marijuana patients. For the first 3 years, Aurora's plan will only allow delivery permits to businesses in disadvantaged areas and communities disproportionately affected by the war on drugs. City Council also voted to advance a measure to end restrictions on certain dog breeds. As it stands, Pit Bull Terriers, American Staffordshire Terriers and Staffordshire Bull Terriers are banned within city limits. Well, a new ordinance aims to overturn all breed bans without voter consent. Council members voted down an option that would put the ordinance on the ballot. The ban on breed restrictions isn't final just yet. It will go up for another vote at the next council meeting.